we're going to show you how to tack a horse. Let's get started.
Before we get started, you always want to make sure that your horse is free of any nicks and burrs, especially in the place where the saddle will be at. If there is, it will cause them to get irritated. First, we'll be starting with the saddle pad. I have a pretty generic Western saddle pad. Only thing that some people don't have is this cutout for the withers. The withers being this area right here. When we place the saddle pad on the horse, you want to make sure that the saddle pad is even with the spine. And you want to make sure that the saddle pad's up on the withers. And you want to make sure where the girth goes will fall right behind their shoulder. Now I'll be placing the saddle on the horse. I always make sure to put the opposite stirrup up from the side that I'm saddling from. That way when I put the saddle over, it does not hit her on the stomach on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to swing. I'm going to lightly set the saddle down on her back. I'm going to make sure that there's an even amount of saddle pad on the front and on the back. And I also want to make sure where the girth is going to go is going to line up behind the shoulder. Now here, the saddle and the pad are not even with her spine, so I'm going to adjust that. I'm then going to go to the other side. Now that we're on the other side, all we're going to do is take the stirrup down. We're going to take the girth off the top of the saddle so that it hangs so we can grab it from the other side. Now that we're back on the other side of the horse, I'm going to show you how to properly secure the girth to the horse. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by putting the stirrup up onto the horn. We're going to reach under and grab the girth. What you're going to see here is that it's properly placed right behind the shoulder blade. And then going to undo this. You want to make sure that the strap is straight and doesn't have any twists in it. We're going to come through this D-ring. We're then going to come up through the middle of this D-ring and back behind the strap. We're going to stick it back through the D-ring, pull some of the slack. We'll then come up through the saddle D-ring again. We'll come up through the middle and go to the right, and it will look like this. You'll then come across, come back up through that D-ring. You want to pull some slack. It'll look like this, and then you'll come back through, pull down. Now when you're tightening your girth, you don't want to get it too tight. So I'll tighten it a little bit. You just pull up on this first singular strap. You can then pull this through, pull this down. You want to make sure that you can at least fit 2 fingers behind the girth. Too tight, it will irritate them. Too loose, and your saddle will come off. You'll then take your stirrup down, and that's how you properly put on a saddle. Now that we have properly saddled her, Sabrina's going to put on the breast collar and the back cinch.
Alright, first we're going to start with the breast collar. We're just going to take this and put it underneath this D-ring here, and then back over. And we want to make sure it's tight enough, but not too tight. So for her, that's right about at that second hole right here. There we go. Just make sure it's all level. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And we want to make sure that this right here is level with her chest, right there in the middle. And that it's not too tight, because if it's too tight, she's not going to be able to bend her head down all the way. So we're just going to take this and do the same exact thing over here. So back underneath the D-ring and back over. There we go. And right at that second hole again. Alright. Now we're going to take this piece here. And we're going to have the dark side facing down. And we're going to come back around over here. And just attach it to this, and that's going to keep it from slipping off to her. Alright, there you go. Alright, next we're going to do the back cinch. We're just going to take this and bring it through here. Make sure it's tight enough for her, and for this horse it's about that third hole right there. And we're going to take this piece, and just like with the breast collar, we're going to make sure that it's lined up right here in the middle, and hook it right there. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, now that we've hooked it up down here in the middle, it makes it a little easier for us to grab. We're going to take it right here, do the same thing right here at this third hole. There we go. we're just gonna make sure that it's tight enough. So it's about 2 fingers. So, yep, fit about 2 fingers, maybe 3, depending on your finger size, but should be good.
Now that Sabrina has the breast collar and the back cinch on, I'm going to show you how to put the bridle on. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her halter off. I'm going to put it around her neck. This is just in case she tries to walk off. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the bridle in one hand like this. Then I'm going to take my other hand, I'm going to separate the bit out. That way it's easier to put in her mouth. I use my thumb and my middle finger. Next, I'm going to put my arm over the middle of her head. I'm going to use my thumb to help get her to open her mouth. You always want to make sure that their tongue is under the bit too. You put the far ear in first, put the closer ear in second, then you'll adjust the throat latch for her. I always put it on the 3rd hole. And that's how you properly bridle your horse. Now Sabrina is going to give us some extra tips in the arena.
Alright, now that we're here and we're about to ride, we just want to recheck that girth again. Because horses will usually suck in when you're first putting on the saddle and they'll let that air out once you're out here. So we're just going to take 2 fingers again and check it. And as you can see, I can fit my whole hand in there, so we don't want that. So we're just going to retighten that again. There we go. Let's move this to the left. Alright. Alright, make sure it's real tight. And then take my 2 fingers again, and I can just barely fit in my 2 fingers. And now it's time to ride her. Alright. So I'm just going to grab this right here. Put my foot in here and then swing myself over. Alright, now it's time to ride.
'Cause I saddle up my horse and I ride into the city. I make a lot of noise 'cause the girls, they are so pretty. Riding up and down Broadway on my old stud Leroy, and the girls say, save a horse, ride a cowboy.